We're excited for this year. Last year we felt like we made significant progress to end the year with the conference tournament trophy and to get back into the NCAA tournament. We've had a little bit of turnover, but are really excited about the group that's returned, about where our culture's at, as well as this first year group that's come in. We think from each of those, whether it's the returning guys or first year group, we've got some new guys stepping up that we're really excited about how this year can look. And the biggest thing has just been the continued growth of our culture to have success across everything we do.
We've already had a couple exhibition scrimmages here in the last couple days, including against the defending national champs of St. Olaf. What did you see from your team in those two events?
Yeah, I think a lot of positives along with some growth moments. We think we'll have some quality kind of in each line of the field. We were able to score some goals across both of them, and we did pretty well among our first group in terms of limiting chances and limiting goals. So I think we've certainly seen some growth in that. It's great to have relationships with good programs like that, with right up the road, and with St. Olaf to see the defending national champions on your home field in the preseason. There's not much better way than to test yourself and see where you're at. And I think it showed us that we're going to be right where we expect to be, competitive at the top of the conference and competitive at the top end of the North region, which, as we saw last year, has you competitive at the top end nationally. That's where they're working to be each day.
And obviously, goal is going to be a question for your team with Brennan graduating after a great year last year. How's that matchup, or I guess battle for that position going?
It's competitive in a really good way. Whether it's the way Caden Baxter's come back in as a junior, or the way our two first years, Caleb Cross and Henry Eckert, have come in, they have a really competitive positional group, and we've actually seen some really good performances in our exhibition games. So it was definitely a question for us, returning the guy that led the nation in shutouts, or replacing the guy that led the nation in shutouts, but we're excited to be able to do it. We feel like we've got some young pieces that are on a really good path.
But your system-wise, go ahead, sir.
No, I was saying, I think you're going wrong. Did you change anything formationally when you don't have that guy?
Yes and no. I think maybe in some set piece moments we may, as we get to know our personnel. But our team as a whole, we always pride ourselves on defending, 1 through 11. Where everybody takes a role in that. Everybody does that in each phase of the field. If we defend well in the attacking third, the middle third, we're going to limit the chances that guy has to deal with. So I don't think there are going to be major adjustments. It's just more guys taking on more responsibility in other areas. And I think we've got some players returning, especially in kind of our center back group, as well as our holding midfield, that will be able to help with that.
Coach, can you talk a little bit about the quality of a fifth year like Curtis Ratcher coming back, not only from his on the field play, but off the field leadership as well that he brings to the team?
Yeah, I mean, it's great. We saw it last year that on the field, the standard of play for us in each positional group were all region players. We had an all region attacking guy like Edvin Rizvik, Paul Devine, who was in central midfield, Curtis, who's a center back, Brennan in goals. So that helps. Returning a guy who was first team all region in that positional group is great. His voice and leadership. He was our only captain last year. He's our only captain that will wear an armband. We have a couple other guys that are vice captains, but his leadership is significant. I think for what that's meant for our culture day to day and the way everybody feels included, that's been really significant. So really excited to have him back, and I know he's excited for the year.
And Coach, going back to the preseason games, and the preseason poll came out, and you guys were approached as one of the favorites. How are you guys approaching that?
I think it's the good thing when you approach each day the same, right? That you want to get better each and every day, and you want to keep making progress. If you show up for our games, it says progress never stops on our warm-up shirts. And if you approach each day the same way, it doesn't matter what's said in the rankings or the polls. Last year they had us fourth, right? And I think you just prepare. That you're going to get each team's best shot. I think we've had that for years because we've been competitive at the top end of the region. So I think we get that, and so it's just continuing to get better and build on where we're at. And if we do that, I think. Those things they're nice to see at the end of the year, but they don't mean a lot right now. So.
traditionally a lot of, like you said, strong regional opponents on your schedule in the traveling trophy with Whitewater.
Yep.
And the addition of St. Scholastica on your schedule. What do you look to accomplish in your non-conference games?
Yeah, it's finding a mix to be able to play programs that are nationally competitive, that are going to help position us to be able to get in, to one, be ready for a very difficult American Rivers Conference, but also to position us to have a chance for an at-large bid if we have a really good year and don't happen to take care of business in the conference final. Nothing's given in our league, and so having that caliber of competition is really important because we want to be a team that's there and in the conversation for the NCAA tournament every year.
Last season you had a fairly dominant season, going 12 wins and only 2 losses. What did you learn from last season that you're taking into this season?
Yeah, I think it's been a continued progress. I mean, right, the year before we only had 2 losses, and now we have a bunch of ties. But the fact we've only had 2 regular season losses in the last 2 years, there's been a consistent day-to-day process that we've gone through. And I think a lot of it has been both for us as staff as well as the guys. Just continued trust in that process that we're going to keep getting better each day. And if we do that, our training environment is competitive enough to prepare us to be able to compete with the top teams in the region, top teams in the country. I think every year you keep adding different layers and variations and things you're going to do differently to try and turn a tie into a win, a 1-0 win into something a little more comfortable. So I think we're continuing to add those layers. I think we did a good job as a program, whether it's the input of our guys or our staff in doing that. But I think we're really excited to continue that process now. This year, having had success, we know kind of what that standard looks like. We want to push beyond it.
I know there's more to it than meets the eye, but in general, do you believe the ARC should be a multi-bid league every year? I'm not trying to make it a look.
Yeah, I think there's the quality in our conference and the way programs are run, and I think there's competitiveness there. Like the top 7 teams in our conference have played each other really, really close, and we even saw teams that are traditional outside of that be much closer last year. So I think the competitiveness in our conference is pretty high. I think we struggled a little bit last year in terms of results against non-conference opponents, so that had us in a 1 bid spot. But I think the quality of program in our league is there, and it's now just about that happening, and kind of there are going to be cycles to it, right? Some years guys have more players back, some years there's turnover. I think we're absolutely heading into an up year where across the league we'll be stronger because of maybe a little bit of a down year last year. But yeah, I feel like we're one of the more competitive conferences in the country where if we perform like we should non-conference wise, we'll be there for multiple bids.
Good luck this season.
Thank you.